I'm always dancing when we go live.
Maria, lovely to see you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. We're both in blue. We've obviously you got the
We
memo.
are. We are color coordinated today. We're with it. We're getting better every single time. That 1% rule, those marginal gains, hopefully we're improving upon what we're doing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, it's been a really fun week. I've been working on some keynotes, writing some new keynotes. One of them is very different from what I would normally do, and actually another one of them, I'm excited because you are actually the person that booked this, you and your team at MFL, and it's going to be for 1,500 people. So it'll be nice getting back on a stage again with real people.
Yeah, one of our last
fun.
bookings. Yeah, because these are postponements from when we were running our bureau. So yeah, fantastic. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And what have we got today? You've arranged something quite special for us today. Thank you.
Well, yeah, this is a phenomenal guest that we have today. We're going to be talking about building better business relationships with video messaging. So we're not talking about Zoom, we're not talking about WebEx, all that stuff. We're doing something a little bit different today. And our guest this week is Ethan Beute. Ethan is Chief Evangelist at BombBomb, a platform to build better business relationships with video messaging. He is also the host of the Customer Experience podcast and co-author of Rehumanize Your Business and Human-Centered Communication. Please welcome to the show, Ethan Beute.
Thanks so much.
Great.
I'm trying to move you into the center spot there. I'm trying to move you across and it's not. There you go. Hello, Ethan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's wonderful that everybody knows where you're from because you've got it in your name title, because we're going to be talking about your company. Yeah. Ethan, before we start, one of the things you talk about is digital pollution and how it affects today's business. Can you tell me what digital pollution is?
Yes, digital pollution is any unwelcome digital distraction. It's something that all of us experience. And I think once I start sharing a couple of ideas, you could pile on with some of your own. You could look in your spam folder right now and get a sense of digital pollution. We were talking before we went live here about some organizations intentionally sending like fake phishing emails to train their employees to be more, to scrutinize what's in their inbox. And is this link safe to click? Can I download this thing? That's kind of on the dangerous end. And we're training ourselves to protect ourselves from dangerous digital pollution. On kind of the innocent end, it's that just silly, frustrating stuff where you either have a typo or an autocorrect where someone completely misunderstands what you intended. And so now you have to go back and forth and figure out what the person or what you actually meant. In other cases, we find ourselves, we pick up our phone maybe, and there are 85 new messages, like text messages. And it's because someone put us in a group text message and we're like, I didn't ask to be in this group message. I don't need all these messages. And then in the middle, this is the big thing for business practitioners, really in any role. One, we're often creating it for other people because we're not good enough about thinking about who's on the receiving end of a digital message or experience that we're creating and sending. And therefore, we're diminishing our reputation. We're creating moments that people can ignore or delete us or, heaven forbid, block us, and these types of things. And even if we are doing an amazing job of reaching people with a high level of intention, really good focused, targeted messaging that's very specific to who it's for, even when we're doing that, we must understand that we're operating in an increasingly noisy and polluted digital environment that doesn't give us the benefit of the doubt, that has us fighting for attention, even when we deserve it and people actually want to hear from us. And these channels also have a visual and emotional impoverishment that I think we all take for granted. And so when we talk about digital pollution, we can talk about it a variety of different ways and from a variety of different perspectives, but we need to know that we need to be more conscious, intentional, and focused in the way that we're trying to reach out and engage people every day, because these spaces that we're all increasingly operating in, pandemic or not, are more challenging to reach people and build trust and create engagement and build relationship, generate a more positive reputation, and ultimately, of course, to grow revenue. It's just getting harder and harder to do.
Oh my goodness, you've just described so many experiences that I have either in my email or on social media. It's just like, I'm thinking, yep, recognize that,
Yeah,
recognize that.
anytime you're like, why did I get this? Who is this from? Is this really from that person? What am I supposed to do with this message? Like the call to action's not clear, or like, why is it even in front of me? Like, and so, we all know that in our social feeds, when people put that stuff in front of us and we just ignore it, we don't comment. If that happens 3 or 4 times, it's like they don't even exist in that network anymore, because those social networks are so smart about filtering those feeds. But we have to know that filtering is coming to every other channel too.
Yeah, I know we're starting to see Apple made some announcements recently that in terms of changing their email, so things aren't going to necessarily go into your email unless it has some certain kind of characteristics to it as well. So, Ethan, why is the goal of getting attention not enough anymore?
Yeah, I think, sometimes people would say things like, and I've heard it even the past couple of years, attention is the currency of the economy. And I think it's just not. I think you would probably both agree too, that trust is, if we're going to say something like that, trust is really more the currency of the economy. Trust is the grease and the glue. Trust makes everything go faster. And where there's trust, good people, good situations, good opportunities stick. And so when we think about getting attention, and this is especially true, video messaging is a theme, and we'll get more into detail on video messaging because, James, I know you're a very extensive practitioner and advocate of it yourself. So many people take on something like video messaging or another tool or technique or practice. They're like, oh, this is different than what other people are doing, so I'm going to go get attention. And that doesn't go far enough, because if we get someone's attention, good job. That's a necessary precursor to all the other things we want to have happen. But we need to be prepared when we get that attention. Time and attention are two of the most valuable things that anyone can give us. So when someone gives that to us as a business practitioner, we need to honor it. We need to reward it. We need to say, I'm giving you more than you even expected in exchange for this time and attention. And that is where if we can consistently do that, that's where we build trust. That's what provokes people to reply. That's what generates conversations and sharing and all this other productive stuff that we need and want in our businesses every day. And so if we're just seeking to get attention, we're going to burn those opportunities out pretty quickly. We're going to burn our team members out, and we're just essentially playing parlor tricks to find new and different ways to get attention. The real game is, how do I give someone something that they want more of, so that the next time I'm in front of them, they open it, they like it, they comment, they reply, they click, they do whatever the opportunity is. And in that positive loop that we can create, trust just reinforces itself. And so if you're playing the attention game, you're playing the shallow game, you're playing a myopic game, and it's not going to get you as far as you really need and want to go with people.
So when we have that horrible thing of bait and switch, where the headline on the website or the news feed is like this thing, and you go, oh, that's interesting, and you go in there and you're scrolling for like 5 minutes, and like, I still haven't got to like the thing that was actually in the headline, and it's just, and you feel, okay, I don't trust. And that happens in emails as well. I think of all the emails that are coming in my inbox, and I know now which ones are providing, it's not just getting attention, but they're actually providing value. They're respecting me and respecting my time, and they're not going to, there's a trust element there. I trust them, and I'll stick them to the front of my inbox, and everything else goes into the promotions or gets deleted.
Yeah, I love your use of the word respect there. I think it's exactly the right word. We want to feel respected as individual human beings. We want to be seen, heard, understood, appreciated. And if we feel respected by somebody else, that's just a really amazing feeling. And so we should think about, what are we doing and how are people feeling on the other end of it? And a key word I have for what you started that off on, James, is anticipation. This idea that like you've created this promise that something is going to be worth my time and attention. And so I start investing, but I'm disappointed. So like, I like this anticipation thing, like, be here at this time for this thing. Okay. I show up and it's like, oh, that was extremely disappointing. That was not worth my time and attention. And to your point too, we start building those associations. Humans are pattern making machines. If I see your name and it's associated with something positive, and I see your name again and it's associated with a positive experience again, all of a sudden you're on that track. Likewise, and on the other hand, if our name, our sales rep's name, our company's name, our brand name starts to become associated with anticipation, just to use that word one more time, then we're training those people, and then those people and their real behaviors training the machines whether or not we're worth the time and attention in the future. And we can be on the positive track or we can be on the negative track, and it's really up to us.
I love that word, anticipation. I'm stealing that. It's really good.
I'm going to use that. That's why I offered it.
I do have a lot of anticipation in life. That's interesting. So tell me about human-centered, how to be human-centered. What does it mean, and how do we do it in our digital communication?
Yeah, thank you. That's so Steve and I, Steve is my longtime friend and team member, our chief marketing officer here at BombBomb. We co-authored both of those books, Rehumanize Your Business and the new one, Human-Centered Communication. Subtitle is A Business Case Against Digital Pollution. We generated digital pollution as kind of the bad guy or, nefarious character in this whole thing, this persistent cloud that makes our whole digital and online experience a little bit more frustrating and annoying and confusing. And sometimes we offered a couple examples there, phishing schemes and other things, cyber attacks, malware, ransomware. Some of it is even threatening and dangerous to individuals and to businesses. And the way around that is some of the themes, and James, you just hit on it in your last response at some level. We came up with this framework for human-centered communication. We're blending the principles of human-centered design, which is a 30 or 40-year-old design practice, and I'll describe it really quickly here in a moment, with our daily digital communication. And when we can do that, then it's more obvious to other people why we're reaching out, what the opportunity is, whether it's worth it for them, and whether or not they should proceed, getting us into that kind of positive loop that we've been talking about here for the past couple of minutes. And so the three, IDEO is a design firm. They're probably the most popular and familiar proponent, advocate, and practitioner of human-centered design. Again, a 30 or 40-year-old practice. They designed the first Apple mouse using human-centered design principles. More recently, they designed water systems in Africa using human-centered design principles, and all kinds of other products and services and systems and processes. So you can really apply it to anything. And it operates at the center of three things. So think of these three circles I'm going to describe. The first is desirability and the needs of humans. What do people actually need and want? The next circle is feasibility. What does technology allow? And then the third circle is viability. What is necessary for business success? And when we operate at the center of those three things, and we start the whole process of what kind of message do we want to create? What kind of experience do we want to create? How are we designing a customer lifecycle experience? How are we actually recruiting and hiring and selecting and onboarding and engaging and equipping and coaching and developing our employees? We can use these same ideas to inform those processes in the way that we're connecting and communicating throughout. And the problem is, too many of us are operating at the intersection of viability. We start here. Instead of starting with the needs of what people actually want and need, what's in their interest, what benefits our customer or our prospect or our employee or our recruit or a partner or a vendor or a supplier, all these other stakeholders in our success. Instead of starting there, we start with what is business success? What is viable? How do we define our success? And then we go straight to what does technology allow us to do? What's technically feasible? And you can start to see the danger of what happens when we operate only where those two circles overlap and we leave out the needs of humans, which is to say nothing of the fact that we're not even making it primary. We're just kind of leaving it to the side completely. It means that we're over automating our processes. We're making too much machine-driven touch. We're focused way more on efficiency than we are on effectiveness. And what results is a dehumanizing experience for the people executing those systems and processes and for the people on the receiving end of those messages and experiences. And so human-centered communication is just a call to shift a little bit to the center of where those three circles meet, to put the needs and interests of other people first and at least on equal footing as our own.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because I have to say, I hate the fact that things have gone so automated. I do miss that human connection. And it seems to always be like a numbers game, instead of thinking about, let's have quality relationships and build on those, rather than, you just feel like you're a commodity rather than an individual, a human being, don't you? Love that. Love that, Ethan. Thank you.
Yeah. And just one quick note there. The interesting thing about the feasibility of technology is that it's getting better and better at helping us understand understand individual human beings and serve that information up to our team members who are on the front lines, who are directly engaging these people. We can use technology to do exactly what you want, Maria, even in a company where you have thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of customers, technology allows us to equip our team members to see individual human beings as individual human beings and to create experiences that make them feel like individual human beings instead of feeling like a number or a piece of revenue or a commodity or all these other things we could say. And so it's just a matter of how we use these tools that we have at our disposal and the way that we motivate ourselves and the way we structure ourselves to serve our customers and our potential customers and really our employees and our recruits more effectively, because that is obviously the whole reason we're in business in the first place.
Now, one of those kind of tools we're kind of speaking about is this idea of video messaging. Is one of the reasons I was really keen to kind of bring you on the show to talk about this idea of video messaging, specifically as it kind of relates to speakers. I think I was first introduced to it by David Averin, in a Coloradan over there as well.
Yeah.
And he told me about what you were doing in BombBomb. And at that point, he was like one of the first speakers I saw using what we think now is personalized video or video messaging. And I just thought, this is so cool, because as much as I love automation, Maria knows how much I love automation, automated things. I also love when you can put that humanistic side. You mentioned like the human-centered side as well. And you can play with that and play with those differences as well sometimes. So he told me about this. So before we kind of get into maybe talking about how speakers are using, I can share some of the ways that we're using it here and the work we do in selling keynotes, selling speeches. Can you tell us what is the role of a video message in the day-to-day? This idea of video messaging. Tell us a little bit more about what that means and how specifically BombBomb is related to that.
Sure. I may have mentioned that when we're operating in these digital, virtual, and online spaces, which we're only going to be doing more in the future, not less, no matter how our economies open up and we can travel across states and across nations and all these other things, we're still going to be doing more of our work digitally, virtually, and online. It's just a matter of fact. And so to your point, James, we need to find these moments to make a little bit of extra effort to be more personal and human. And one of those reasons why is because faceless typed out text that we rely on all the time is both visually and emotionally impoverished, right? It doesn't have anything to look at or attach to. It's missing kind of the how we say it. It's more exclusively the what we say. And we all know that how we say something dramatically affects how it's understood and what it means to the other person, right? And what it means to the other person is the determinant of how effective our communication was. Did they understand our intent? And here's a key idea. People care more about our intent than anything else. Every human being judges another human being on the two words I'll use are warmth and competence. Depending on who you listen to, you might get different words, but it always boils down to warmth and competence. And warmth includes so much of our intent. And in that word, I mean, what is our motivation? Are we sincere about it? Do we care about the other person? Do we believe in and care about what we're saying? Do we have the other person's best interests in mind? Now let's get on the other side of it. If you are that other person who's being presented with a message or an opportunity, yeah, you want to know, is this person capable of delivering on their promises? That's their competence. But we care about that less than, do they care about me? Do they see me? Do they understand me? Do they seem to believe in what they're saying? Do they seem to have my best interests in mind? And if you think about that from an evolutionary standpoint, of course we start there, because that protects us, right? If we encountered someone historically today or any time in the past that was highly competent, but they had their own interests in mind, we could very easily be taken advantage of. And the farther back we go, the more fatal that decision becomes. And so it becomes necessary to our survival to protect ourselves by judging other people's intent. Now, when we type out our messages and send them to people, or we type out our proposals and send them to people, we're giving them no data. We're giving them no information that allows them to judge our intent. We're leaving it up to their own decision to say, based on their past experience and maybe what we've done before, we're just leaving too many gaps and holes. And so, but their mind is not satisfied in proceeding without that information. So they make it up. Our brains just fill in the gaps. And the problem is also, for protective reasons, our brains fill in those gaps Negatively, we assume the worst, again, in order to protect ourselves from the worst case scenario, which historically could have been fatal. Today, not so much. We're talking about business decisions and dollars and pounds and things. It's not as fatal, but we still have that protective element in us as human beings. And so when we can mix some video messages in, and what I'm talking about is a simple 30-second or 90-second or 42-second or minute and a half or minute and 20-second video message that we record or screen record. It can be ourselves and what's on our screen. When we mix some of these video messages in to the rest of our digital communication, it conveys all of those things I was talking about that are missing: who I am, how I feel, what it feels like to be with me, how much I care about this idea, how much I seem to care about you, how much I seem to understand you, whether or not I have your best interests in mind. Humans can judge that from us. It's not as good as being in the same room as one another, but it's the next best thing. Last point, again, you mentioned this right off the top. It's not like Zoom or WebEx or some of these live synchronous video platforms. This is about recording a message when it's convenient for you and sending it to one person or 5 people or 5,000 people. And each one of them opens it up and experiences you in person at their own convenience. And then if you're using a tool or a system or a platform like ours or one of the other ones, you get that tracking data that says who watched it, when, for how long, et cetera, that allows you to follow up in a more intelligent way.
It's interesting, the work we often do as speakers, I always feel like we were given email. And as speakers, our best asset is our voice, hopefully. There were things using our voice in that way. And then suddenly the tool that we're given to sell and market ourselves is a written tool. So it feels like I'm going into battle with one hand tied behind my back. At least. So when I learned about the BombBomb and doing short video emails, it was a real game changer, because suddenly I could actually put my personality in. And obviously, knowing about science and things, that when you see someone's eye to eye, even if it's not live, if it's not synchronous, the oxytocin kicks in there, building of empathy, and you're able to kind of you're able to communicate in a slightly different way that if you're just writing a long email, it just doesn't come in. So I just kind of want to share. I know Maria knows some of these things that we do in terms of how we use the app, and I'd love to know other ways maybe you're seeing people using BombBomb, especially the work that we do as speakers and experts and thought leaders. So we use it all the time for cold outreach. If we see an opportunity out there, maybe a conference, an event, I'll just do a little quick 45-second video like you were saying. Hi, I'm James Taylor. I'm a keynote speaker on blah, blah, blah. Just saw your conference is coming up. Would love the opportunity. I've spoken for very similar clients in your industry before. Maybe mention them. Here's what we're going to bring to the event. Let's schedule time. Let's put a link here. So you can do like the cold outreach. That gets used a lot. The one that is just, I'm still amazed how well it works. It almost feels like I have an unfair advantage with this. And which is when like Maria and I would do this all the time, when we do a discovery call with a client, and we're having the conversation. And at the end of that conversation, obviously it's over to the client to decide, next steps. Do they want to go ahead? Usually they'll often say, okay, give me a week, or, give me a few weeks while I speak to the rest of the team. So what I've tended to do, and I think it was David Avrin that first taught me this, was I'll just film a little quick video straight afterwards, just a little recap, 45 seconds recapping on that conversation. This is what we're going to bring to it. This is how it's going to make your audience love it, all those kind of things. And then you see them opening with the stats on that. And then the cool thing is sometimes about a week later, I'll get a notification, XYZ person just opened and watched this video again. So I know they're back in buy mode. They're now considering. And that's my perfect opportunity to send them a quick email. I said, hey, I know we spoke last week about me coming to speak at your event. Are you ready now to make a decision? And then they come up, wow, I was just thinking about that conversation that you just had. If it looks like you're a mind reader. And this just feels like a totally unfair advantage that I have over other speakers. So
you've given it away. You've given it away.
Given it away. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think David Avrin was he's a master at this stuff.
Yeah, I love David. He's awesome. And he is. He's right up the road from us. I've met him in person a couple of times. I've read his books. Just a really great guy. And I appreciate, I did not know that connection, by the way, James, before this time that we spent together. I'm so glad that he inspired you. And I'm so glad you've taken it as far as you have. That follow-up after the discovery call or that first appointment is one that I recommend to everyone in any business, but especially in this one for a couple of the reasons you already offered. So I won't double down on that one. Another one that I'll share is if you're in a position of putting forward a proposal, I know sometimes it can go the other way where they're putting a proposal to you, but in the case that anyone's putting forward a proposal on any type of engagement, speaking engagement, consulting engagement, etc., you know what people normally ask about, you know what people are excited about, you know what people are sometimes confused about. And then you also know if you negotiated with someone on it. Do a screen recording as you present the proposal. Don't just say it's attached and give it a look and let me know when you want to talk about it. Do a screen recording with yourself in the corner, the proposal on the screen, and just do a quick walk and talk through it and highlight things that typically confuse people and why it's there and what it means. If you've negotiated something, point out, and you're not going to say this explicitly, but they're going to feel it is, I heard you. I listened. I included that in the proposal. Here it is right here. Your direct interests are right here on this page. And so that's another great use case. Another one is after an engagement, following up to say thank you, obviously, to the people that made the event possible. Where you feel like it's appropriate, requesting a referral. Hey, I hope that, I thank you for sharing that speaker feedback with me. It seems like I was really well received. Hey, if you know anyone else putting on an event that I would be a good speaker for, if you could just do a mutual introduction, that'd be amazing. Like however you prefer to request referrals, that's another great way to do it, and to do it with video because of kind of that social reciprocity and even obligation people feel, especially if you've performed or overperformed for that person. Another thing I like to do when I go to live events, especially if I've been on the stage, is that, of course, I'll provide calls to action, but I'll also bring those to life. So if I'll often give out my email address because I don't mind hearing from people directly. I don't worry about the volume. As many audiences as I've been in front of on podcasts and sessions like this and on stages, so few people actually reach out that the ones that do are super engaged. You never know what those relationships will build. And so I'll give out my email address, or we'll swap business cards or that type of a thing. And after the event, I'll take all of the emails that are in my inbox and all the business cards and however else I might be collecting contact information. And I'll just time block an hour, or depending on the size of the event, 2 or 3 hours, and just send personal videos. And in the case that it's a business card, I'll just scratch a little note on the back so that I can remember kind of a personal nugget about that exchange, so that I'm not trying to remember all, 42 of these people all at one time, 3 days or a week after the event. But that personal follow-up afterward, like, I feel like that's how you build legacy. That's how you build personal reputation. That's how you make other people who cared enough about your presentation to reach out to you, or to come up to the front of the stage afterward to ask you that question they were too afraid to ask in a group setting. Like, honoring those people who actually care and reach out and raise their hand and step forward. I feel like if you do that consistently throughout your career, doors are going to open for you that you don't even know exist, because you're just operating in the way that makes people feel awesome.
There's another one.
Brilliant.
There's another one on that. Just, you suddenly made me think of it. It reminded me of it. I haven't done it for a while because I haven't been at so many airports of late. But when I used to live in California, we used to go over the Bay Bridge, and we used to pay for our car. Before there was the things you could just go straight through. We used to pay our toll, and then we always paid for the person behind us. And I just used to love driving off and then looking in the rear view mirror and watching their face as they look confused because the toll attendant said, "Oh, the guy in front just paid for you," and they're like, "What?" So this idea of paying it forward. The other thing I do, I don't know how many other speakers do this, but at the end of the speech, when I go to the airport to fly out, I'll sit there in the lounge, just open the BombBomb app. And then I'll do a little personal video. Usually it's to the CEO, because I've had the owner of the event, because I've had a conversation with them, and I've usually asked them as well at the end, what are you thinking about for next year? What's your theme going to be for next year? Or sometimes I'll sense it. Like for me, I speak about innovation, creativity. Very often after that, there's a certain type of topic that might come after that. And I know some really good speakers. So what I'll usually do is I'll do a little video, say, "Thanks so much for bringing me in. We'd love if you just leave the testimonial on my LinkedIn. But I also wanted to perhaps recommend a great speaker for you for next year. Her name is blah. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect the two of you as well. That's actually generated a lot of business for other people. So any speakers are out there doing this, pay it forward. It's not always just about you. Think about the client, like Ethan was saying there, put the customer at the center, customer centric, and then think, how else can we serve them? And sometimes that's not you as the speaker to do that.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Ethan, how can people grab this wonderful tool and how can they connect with you?
Super. Thank you for that. Again, my name is Ethan Beute. You can see it on the screen. I welcome direct connections. I'm on all the social networks by my first and last name. Of course, BombBomb is on all the social networks by the word bomb twice put together. You can learn more about the book at bombbomb.com/book. You can actually see both of the books there, including this new one, Human-Centered Communication, a digital case, a business case against digital pollution. And the BombBomb platform is at bombbomb.com. And you can learn more about it there. If you have questions about it, you can reach out to me directly, Ethan, E-T-H-A-N, at bombbomb.com. There is a 2-week free trial on pretty much every single page of the website if you want to get in there and try it out. James kindly mentioned the mobile app, and I love that use case of, at the airport. It just has this you're bringing someone into this little moment of your life, but in this personal and sincere way. And it's just a really interesting thing to look at, especially if you're oriented so that people are walking around behind you. It's just like an interesting moment of your life where you're expressing gratitude. Great use case for the mobile app. Works in Gmail, works in Outlook, works in a bunch of other platforms as well. And so you can get in there, try it out, and I recommend starting by sending some thank you, good job, or congratulations to people. Think of people that you've interacted with recently or people you've seen in your social feed. I keep it down in a notebook that I keep next to me at my desk. And I just keep a running list, and I'll just stop for 15 minutes in a day when I see that I have a block of time available, and I'll just send videos to all those people. And I do it like a few times a week. And it just really makes people feel appreciated, and it makes me feel awesome too. Like if you want to feel really good, send messages like thank you, good job, and congratulations, 10 minutes a day, a couple days a week. It's just like this. It's amazing. It feels great to you. It's so great for your business relationships, and it's really healthy for everybody overall because everyone enjoys getting that message. And you'll get replies like, I loved your email, which no one ever says unless it's like this, or you totally made my day, or I absolutely needed to hear that today. Thank you so much. Like it's simple, but so meaningful. It's kind of like a modern day handwritten note.
We have to do a thank you video, James, for Ethan.
We absolutely have to do a thank you video. Well, Ethan, what's the strangest use you've seen so far of someone using BombBomb?
It's not
that you can share publicly. That is.
Yeah, it's not the strangest. Okay, so we've two quick things. One, we've always had we're very pro-human, and we actively work in a variety of ways with the resources we have and that we continue to create by serving people with a valuable platform. We're constantly investing to rehumanize. We call it rehumanizing the planet, to rehumanize populations of people who've been dehumanized by system or circumstance. And so we've long had like an anti-nudity, anti-pornography state. And you can imagine that those businesses came to us in the early days and are like, we want to subscribe. And we're like, no, you cannot subscribe. And so anything that falls into that category, people wanted to do that, and we've had to cancel accounts and shut people down. So that's like the most kind of over the top use. But something kind of fun and interesting, like we have really practical use cases, like people that do sealing of walls and concrete in basements, or people who replace and repair roofs. And some of this just like really practical stuff. And like you, James, you're just taking out the mobile app, but instead of saying, thank you, customer, they're saying, hey, customer, I'm on your roof right now. Or, hey, customer, I'm down in your basement right now. Check this thing out. We have all kinds of people and all kinds of businesses using this in a variety of ways. I think most of what we're talking about when we're talking about speakers is like, you are your own best differentiator. At some level, you are the product that you're selling. So you need to be in these videos more often for a variety of reasons and in a variety of ways. But for other people who have like physical products or they operate in physical spaces, it's fun to see people bring others into those moments using video, which is just still photos don't do it. Typed out text doesn't do it. Property surveyors, where is the property line? Where are the utility lines buried underground? This type of stuff. Just do it in videos. There's so many use cases. It's delightful. I've learned so much from our customers and our community. Just like, you got your initial spark from David, I'm getting that spark all the time from now tens of thousands of people. In the early days, it was with dozens or hundreds of people. But it just constantly re-engages me with this idea that this is just different and better. And almost anyone working in a professional capacity can benefit by mixing one or two of these messages into their day.
Can you imagine dog walkers out with your dog sending you a message? Your dog's having fun. I tell you what, my car company, when I had my car service, they sent me a video showing me around the car, showing me that that was fine, this was fine. They checked this, they checked that was fine. Listen, we've run out of time. James, what have we got left? I'm sure there's something we've missed.
Well, we've missed. We always do this little thing like tool of the week or tip of the week. So I don't know if you have one, Ethan, and maybe Maria, if you have one before we finish up this week.
We'll start with you, Maria. I'll need to generate mine.
Okay, so mine is not related to video. Mine is related to banking. So if you have a limited company in the UK, it's really hard to set up a bank account with a high street bank. It's literally like pulling teeth. So I recently changed my business and I needed to create a new business bank account. And I went to the Starling app. And I have to say, my experience was amazing. Within 24 hours, I had my new account. It's really easy to access. They tell me when money comes in and where it's come from. They give me a little ping, which I love. I love that particular ping. They tell me when money's gone out and who it's gone to. It's just so easy. It syncs with my bookkeeping and accounting package. Love it. Cannot say enough about how good it is. I won't mention the high street banks that gave me grief. Starling is excellent. There you go. That's probably for UK more than, I don't know if it's international, but certainly from the UK point of view, it's great.
Awesome. I'm going to go with an anti-app. I'm going to go with silence, and perhaps silence with solitude, and perhaps silence with solitude with movement, walking, running, hiking, whatever. And the reason I say that is if you're watching a show like this and you've made it all the way to like minute 36 or 37, you're obviously investing in your own learning and growth. So I assume you watch other videos, you read other books, you listen to podcasts, and you're constantly investing in learning and growing. And for me, something that was super valuable that I started doing maybe even a decade ago was intentionally taking out the earbuds and just spending time with my own thoughts. Sometimes I'll focus them and other times I'll just see what happens. And that's for me, and I'd be interested in your take, James. For me, that's where a lot of creativity comes from. When I give my mind a break and the chance for seemingly disparate ideas to kind of intersect and make a new idea, because there are no new ideas under the sun. They're just new combinations of them. And I think our brains are an amazing app. And I think in our society and in our culture, especially for younger people who've never been trained to accept boredom as a legitimate potential reality, which I grew up with a lot of from time to time. And so you make something of it with creativity and imagination. I think forcing those moments into our day is a huge value to your personal and professional growth and development. So I'll go anti-app.
Love it.
Yeah, we've had nice the yin and the yang of the two things there. Ethan, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to put all the links here. People go to speakingbusiness.tv. We'll put the links to BombBomb. It's actually really easy. You can just go to bombbomb.com and just get your free trial there, get started, start using the app, start using it on your computer. And the link there to Maria mentioned to Starling Bank, we'll also put that at speakingbusiness.tv. Ethan, thank you so much. Maria, lovely to see you again this week.
And you, thank you, Ethan. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
I did too. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you both so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we're not that far away. I hope you both have an amazing weekend.
You too. Take care.